listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome, everybody, to Off the Cuff, broadcasting from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening to us on the radio, you can download the Radio Lex app on your smartphone device to listen anywhere in the entire world. What a world that we do live in, ladies and gentlemen. It is not every day that a talk show host becomes speechless, but I am. To sum up how I feel and to sum up how everything has been going these last couple of weeks, it's hard to find the words. People around the country have been having to take precautions to fight the spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus that has been spreading. We all know by now, unless you've been living under a rock, that it is a worldwide pandemic. And that means that states across the United States have had to make adjustments, including Kentucky. And that means we here at Off the Cuff have to make adjustments too. So this broadcast is actually pre-recorded. I taped this episode on Tuesday. So you are hearing this episode across the airwaves as a pre-recorded episode. And I'm also doing this episode from the Waterstone studio, which is my home studio at my apartment. So yes, it might sound a little rusty. It might sound a little rough around the edges on this episode, but that is because I'm doing this broadcast from my apartment. So just like Jimmy Fallon, just like Ellen DeGeneres, just like Jimmy Kimmel, Adam Banks here at Off the Cuff has had to make some changes too. So I want to let everybody know kind of what's going on with Off the Cuff going forward. So we are apparently on lockdown here at the house. We can't go anywhere, really, because really there's nowhere to go. So I've decided during this crisis to spring a new series on everybody. This is called the House Arrest Series, Volume 1. So we are going to continue with the House Arrest Volume series every episode until this coronavirus goes away, or until things go back to normal, or until we experience our new normal. But on Volume 1 of the House Arrest episode, I have decided to bring in the March Madness crew. Like I said last week on Off the Cuff, I was bringing in my March Madness crew in the studio, but unfortunately, WLXU is temporarily closed, so I have them all here in my apartment at the Waterstone studio. Jordan Canasser, Chad Rainwater, and Zach Kahn. And guys, I'm going to get to every single one of you guys and talk to you about the coronavirus and the effect that it's had on your life. So let's start with Zach Kahn. Zach, it's so good to have you back on the show. It's been about a year since you've been on Off the Cuff. So how you doing, man?
Well, I mean, since I've been here, you've got famous on us. But no, it's good to be here. And I mean, like, what an intro. I mean, I went from talking about Xavier, whether they could knock off Creighton in the second round, to we're discussing a global pandemic. So thanks. I mean, thanks for giving us the opportunity to come back. It's awesome.
No problem at all. And the next guy I want to introduce is Mr. Chad Rainwater. Now, usually, Chad, when I bring you on the show, you always have some type of news that you're announcing, whether you're getting married, or you're having kid number 1, or you're having kid number 2. So go ahead and let us know. Is kid number 3 on the way?
No, we're not expecting any kids anytime
No big
soon.
surprises?
No big surprises this time. But yeah, I'm glad to be back on the show, man. I think the last time we were all in the studio together, this is before, like Zach said, you weren't famous. You hadn't become famous yet, and Off the Cuff wasn't on the radio yet.
Yeah, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that we're not talking college basketball, because that's usually what we do on these shows. But I'm glad that we could all get back together and just chit-chat a little bit and see what's going on in the world today.
Me too. Glad to have you back. And Jordan Canasser. Jordan, it's so good to have you here. Unfortunately, I didn't get to expose you to the WLXU studio, so I don't get to brag about my Rush Limbaugh studio. But you made it here at my apartment. How's everything going?
It's going great, and then I'm kind of hoping to be on a show with you. I still want to get the full studio experience, yes. But it's great to be here. I've got my college basketball bracket, and I got my national championship game. I've got COVID-19 winning everything this year. So.
Exactly. Now, this is our March Madness series kind of, I don't know. Do we even call this a March Madness series?
It's reimagined.
It's reimagined. And usually when we are together, we have so much exciting things to talk about because we're doing the March Madness series and it's the most exciting time of the year. So this is a little different. We got different content to discuss, and it's because of the coronavirus. So how has the coronavirus affected your life? Chad, I know that you're working from home now, like me and like many other Americans and Kentuckians. So how's that experience been like for you?
Working from home?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's different. It has its pros and its cons. You know, it's nice waking up in the morning at 7:55 and I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to put any clothes on. I just put my underwear on. I can work in my underwear if I wanted to. But on the other hand, it's tough, man. Especially if you're working with two kids. You know, some of the days that my wife is there, she is sleeping, and so I try to do my best to work and manage the kids, and also keep them from getting to her while she's trying to sleep. So that's tough. You know, production level's definitely down.
Yeah,
that's for sure. But it's not bad. It's not bad. And plus, I'm still adjusting to it. I mean, we're only 4 or 5 days in working from home, so I think it'll get better over time.
Same here. I'm working from home too. It is weird. I'm sure that everybody has heard of the technology Zoom now because that's what most people are using in companies. And if you don't know what Zoom is, just log into it. It looks like the Brady Bunch. It's just little squares of people popping
like Hollywood
in.
Squares?
Yeah, it's like Hollywood Squares.
That's awesome.
I saw a meme of that on Facebook earlier, and they were like, you know, everybody working from home's like, and it shows a picture of the Brady Bunch with all the kids and the husband and wife, and then I just didn't get it, but now I get it. All right, fair enough.
There is a video going around, and it went viral because everybody's having to work from home. There was a girl that was online with her coworkers, and she took the computer with her to the bathroom, and she pulled down her pants and started using the bathroom, and she didn't realize that people could see her from the Zoom, and everybody was like, oh my God, like, stop, close your computer. Could you imagine how mortified she had to be?
Oh, she's gonna be so embarrassed. That's hilarious. I mean,
she's like the first person in history to make that mistake. You know, that could be like a really common thing in the future. You know, people just like staying on their group chat, not even realizing what they were doing. But I mean, she was the first. That's terrible ground to break, though.
I want to give you guys listening at home 10 tips for working from home without going crazy, because a lot of our listeners are working from home. So I would like to give you 10 tips for working from home without going crazy. Tip number 1, you need to establish your space. You're working from home. You're not dealing with traffic. You're not dealing with your normal commute, your daily life. So you need to establish a workplace. You need to build yourself an environment to work in. Number 2, routine is key. Sometimes we get in this routine where it's hard to really follow a routine at home because we got all these temptations. We got our TV, we got our radio, we got DVRs episodes that we can watch. You have to put yourself in a work routine. Establish yourself work hours and use those hours. Chad, you got to change out of your PJs. That's my next tip. You got to
working in your underwear.
Yeah, you cannot work in your underwear. You have to. I'm not saying put on a 3-piece suit.
Dress for success. That rule still applies. That's what you're saying, right?
Pretty much. But sometimes it's like, do you ever put on something and you just feel better about yourself? You feel more professional the way you dress?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put on a 3-piece suit, like Zach said, you
I
go
feel
out
like
to the
Vince
world
McMahon when I do that. Like I'm about to walk in the ring and get my butt kicked by Stone Cold.
Not by anybody right now, though.
Make sure
From
that
6 feet away.
Make sure that you are taking breaks. You're at home. Still, you need to take breaks. Go outside. Smoke a cig if you're a smoker. I'm not saying smoke a cig if you're not a smoker, but if you are a smoker, it'd be a good time to go out and smoke a cig. Wouldn't you say, Jordan?
Fair enough.
Get out of the house, and for now, maintain social distance, like we all here at Off the Cuff are doing. Number 7, yes, you are going to get cabin fever. Cabin fever is a real thing. It's not just something Hollywood made up.
What if you don't live in a cabin, though?
I mean, I'm telling you, Zach's got jokes for days. He's here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Number 8, communicate with your coworkers and your friends. You're not with them right now, so it's important to keep communication with people that you normally see on a daily basis. Number 9, if your spouse, partner, roommate is also working from home, you need to respect their space And you need to also be aware of your mannerisms and your habits. You don't want to be singing and popping your knuckles and burping and talking on the phone loud and all that good stuff while your roommate's working from home too. And finally, number 10, if your children are home because school is canceled, and Chad, this applies to you, the only advice I got for you is God bless you. Look, how has that been, working from home with kids around?
It's tough. Like I said earlier, constantly chasing them down, and you got to take breaks to feed them, change diapers. I mean, that doesn't stop. That's an ongoing thing. It's tough. It is. It really is. But at the same time, it's part of it. I have to do what I have to do. I have to get the job done. So
there are some people that cannot work from home, and those are called the essential employees. And we've got 2 people right here that are considered essential employees, Jordan Canasser and Zach Kahn. So Jordan, somebody who has to go into work. Do you want to say what you do, or do you want to leave that off the air?
I mean, that's fine. I work at a prison. He
deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing right now.
Absolutely. What's going to work like for you as a prison guard?
I mean, it's different right now. It's a different world right now. There's a different screening process that you go through. And it's to keep from bringing the virus from the outside into a confined space with a lot of people, that can't leave.
Yeah.
So it's been different, but I'm blessed, and I'm thankful to say that I'm able to go to work, and if anything, my hours are actually going to go up. So I'm not gonna lose pay, and I pray for you and Chad and everybody else in the world that has to deal with these things, because it's not, you all are blessed to be able to work from home, but waitresses and waiters, and just for example, as one of the people, a lot of restaurants are closing. They don't need the typical staff. They just need somebody to take stuff to the curb for people to get curbside. So, I'm blessed to, be able to continue to go to work every single day. And, I pray for everybody that's not able to go to work every day. And I hope everybody can make it through this.
Zach, how has this affected you?
So right now, of course, I'm working at a civilian job. And because of the warehousing, the distribution aspect of it, we still are marked essential, not in the same way that Jordan and the federal prison service isn't going anywhere. But it's been tough. It's been watching the news every day, wondering what's going to get closed next. And then, of course, I've called in on the show before when I was on Army order. So, being a member of the National Guard, it's monitoring that. It's making sure that we're available to help if called on, and we are starting to get called on. So this is definitely an unprecedented crisis in terms of like the scope and the impact on everybody's lives. I don't think we can deny that.
Absolutely. What an impact it has had on everybody's life. Just this has changed the way we live our life. Things popped off a couple weeks ago. I was actually live on the air when things started breaking, things started closing, and everybody I keep hearing say, I can't wait until things go back to normal. I don't think things will ever go back to that normal. I think that normal is a thing of the past. I think that there will be a new normal, and I think it will mirror kind of like what the old normal used to look like, but I think that it's going to be an era now where it's pre-coronavirus and it's post-coronavirus era. It has changed things. You can't shut down the whole country like this for months and it not change the normal.
I think everything's going to go back to your normal. I don't think you're going to have a post or a pre or a post. Of course you're going to have a pre-corona normal, but I think your post-corona normal is going to be the same exact thing. Life's going to go back to what it was. People aren't going to change. Maybe for the next 2 years, for the next, 12 to 24 months, things will be different. Sports will be different, the way all this stuff is, but I think everything will go back to the same normal. This is a thing, it will pass. The coronavirus will pass. There will be, measures to take. This can be something that can be prevented, but
it'll be normal. It'll be normal-ish. There's always that process of change going on in society and everything. I think I would kind of be somewhere in the middle of you two. Like, I don't think it'll be completely normal, but I don't think it'll be, you look at it and say, oh, pre-corona and post-corona. I think it'll be just like an accelerated change. Like, and coinciding with the start of the decade, I think that's what we'll remember more so than this. Just like the 20s, it started with the virus. the panic, or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, you got to think, what was it? 1918 was the Spanish flu.
Yeah,
so
100 years exactly.
You're talking about just right at 100 years. So I mean, we've had the Spanish flu was actually the biggest epidemic or pandemic, whatever, that this country has ever faced. It was millions and millions and millions of lives lost.
Right. Do you guys worry about getting the coronavirus, catching it?
Not personally, like for my personal safety, but just for older people or people that have pre-existing health conditions. Yeah, I think so. I
mean, that's scary to think that all of us are late 20s, early 30s, and it's something with us to where we can catch this virus, and I don't think there's any pre-existing health conditions between any of us. So it's something that I think we'll be all right with. But it's the thing, you take it to your parents or your grandparents, or for Chad, the kids, and that's a scary thought.
Yeah, you worry about bringing it to your grandparents, your parents, and things like that. So there's definitely room for concern. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these words. Stick with us. Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you, along with my March Madness crew, Jordan Canasser, Chad Rainwater, and Zach Kahn. Guys, we're talking about the coronavirus, COVID-19, and the impact that it's had on our economy and just our daily lives. It's definitely affected, our lives, because every single one of us are sports fanatics. I bring you guys on to do the March Madness series to talk about sports. Essentially, Off the Cuff turns into a sports show for an entire month during this month, and it's been shut down. COVID-19 has shut down sports. And if you've ever wondered what the world would look like without sports, we're seeing it right now. We're seeing it. I've said this. I think that crime rate is going to go up. I think that boredom is going to cause people to become depressed. This is America's pastime, sports. It really started when the NBA player, what was his name?
Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, he got tested for coronavirus, and it came back positive. After that, they shut down the NBA, and it wasn't too long after that other sports organizations followed suit. So let's talk about the NBA shutdown right now. Zach, how do you think do you think that the NBA can come back from this?
Absolutely. I appreciate you going to me, because I think this is probably, this has been a lot of confusion the last couple of weeks. This is probably the biggest point I wanted to bring into the show. I think sports, college basketball, that ship sailed, but the NBA specifically, they need to figure out a way to play games as soon as possible, even if it's in front of an empty arena. I'm struck by, the example in World War II, and obviously that's different. That's not a public health crisis, but it was like a big event that our country went through. Baseball, they thought about shutting down. They wrote a letter to the president, said, our baseball players, wouldn't they be better as soldiers? And President Roosevelt said, no, the country needs that normalcy. So even if it's the NBA players playing basketball in front of an empty arena, people, like you said, Adam, to your point, people need that little bit of normality, that that's something else that they can talk about. Like, did you see the Jazz beat the Lakers last night? It was crazy. There were no fans there, but wow, Rudy Gobert, who's recovered from coronavirus, wow, he had a great game. I think you all can disagree with me if you want to, but I think that we really need something like that. And these guys are getting paid $8 million a year. They'll be all right.
I agree with it, but my thing is, I think you're going to have a September and an October full of sports. Kentucky Derby postponed till September 5th.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see the NBA season postponed until September. And then, and I'm just saying, I hope sports are back by then. But my initial thought is sports will be back in September, and then you're going to have the NBA, the NFL,
My
MLB.
over-under on the NBA, May 1st. May 1st. There's too much. How much money are they going to make on
May
TV
1st, yeah.
if they could just play? Like you said, WrestleMania. Off air, you said WrestleMania is doing it in front of an empty crowd.
But there's still, you have the NBA. You just have 4 Brooklyn Nets players test positive, including Kevin Durant. That's one of the biggest names in the NBA. They're still testing positive. They're still coming out testing positive. I don't even think we've hit the top of the mountain yet. We have time to go. I think you're looking at least 4 months before you get back to any kind of normal.
I could agree more with what you're saying, Jordan, as far as when the NBA could start back up, because I think that we're all going to just try to fight this virus one time, like Andy Bashir was saying. We're going to try to get it out of ever just try to get rid of it by social distancing and not go around each other and spread our germs amongst each other like we do every day, like normal. But I think that what's going to happen if the NBA does decide to open up early, the first organization that does that, other organizations are going to start following suit because people are aching to get back to work and aching to get sports back.
The NBA, they found a way to get their players tested when there weren't very many tests available. So by May the 1st, I would think that they could test them after every game, and if it was spreading, they could shut it down again. But like to your point, there's a lot of money on the table to be the first one back. And I would say the NBA being the first one out is probably feeling that pressure to be the first one back.
And not every NBA player is practicing safe social distancing. Jamal Murray, have you guys heard what's been going on with this man?
Nope.
Zach's not heard. Jordan?
I've not heard. This is a new one to me. I've kind of
Chad,
saw
my
it.
man, you've heard.
I haven't. I think I'm one who brought this to your attention and what it was. I woke up on, I think it was Sunday morning. It was Sunday morning really early, and I saw that Jamal Murray was the number one trend on Twitter. But I didn't really see the reason why. So later that afternoon, I was like, why is Jamal Murray the number one trend on Twitter? And it's not even basketball season.
Right.
So I did a little search.
So you knew it had to be something.
It had to be something non-basketball related. So I did a little search. I regret what I did. And what I saw was trying to keep this PG.
Jamal Murray receiving oral sex from his
girlfriend, and the video was leaked, obviously. And he said that his account was hacked,
which is bull. Because what happened was, I don't know about you guys, but do you ever pull out your phone and record or take a picture with the Snapchat app? You're not using Snapchat, but you might just take a picture using the Snapchat app. Do you ever do that?
Yes, but I understand. I know you're going with this, right. But from the view of the video, it doesn't look like it was a mistake. It looks like it was intentional because it was like.
I totally don't think it was intentional for him to post it to his story. I do think he meant to post that video or record it using the Instagram story, but I don't think he meant to post it. And how long was it up? Was it up for a couple hours without him knowing?
I'm not sure. I don't know because I didn't see it until afternoon.
Why would he post?
There's no way that was intentional.
Maybe
there's no way that was intentional.
He did it. He thought. I guess you're saying you can take a Snapchat video. I don't have Snapchat.
No, you can.
The old man here, but like you can unintentionally take a Snapchat video when you thought you were taking a regular one.
Well, or you could just take it on Snapchat and just save it to your files. You don't have to post it or anything. I don't know if you can do that on Instagram or not. I don't know if you can just make a video and then just save it, not post it or put it on live, but I think he accidentally did that.
Well,
he might have wanted to record the video and not put it out there, but it got out there.
A couple things I want to address about that video. Number one, she's hot. Let me just throw that out there. She's absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know who she is. Apparently she went to UK.
She's a UK volleyball player.
And she played volleyball. I don't know who the young lady is. I think that she's probably mortified at this point. I would say absolutely mortified because I would be mortified if I was doing that. I mean, there would be several reasons why I would be mortified if I was doing that. But that right there, imagine how she feels because she's always now going to be known as the girl that was doing that to Jamal Murray.
I don't think it'll hold over him that long. It's one of those things to where Zach and I are both, Jamal Murray's, a very well-known name in the state of Kentucky, especially for a Kentucky basketball fan. And we're 4 days into this now, and I still didn't know what was going on.
Couple things working in her favor there. One, the story's been overshadowed a little bit.
Right.
Two, it's not like we didn't know that was going on anyway. It just happened to be posted to social media.
Well, I just want to know how many people went and looked up the video when they heard about it. And I'm going to say that I did because, I know there had to be more people that did it because I'm not the only one that's seen it. The video that I saw at the time had like 60,000 likes or 60,000 views. So at least 60,000 other people looked at it too. So I don't know why I did. I immediately regretted it when I did because of Jamal. You need to, take care of some things. You need to do some. Pretty much.
Oh god.
Pretty much. They're comparing it though to his lawn. They're comparing his lawn to Kevin Durant's head.
I saw that.
And I saw that, and I was like, man, who really is embarrassed, Kevin Durant or the girl that was in the video?
Yeah, so my takeaway here is the NBA players could totally be playing because they're not doing anything else right now.
Yeah. I would love to have a sponsor right now from Manscaped.com because I could really segue into a really good manscaping commercial.
Hey, Manscaped,
Hey,
if you're listening, hit your boy up.
So the NBA is not the only, obviously, that shut down March Madness. Obviously, we're not doing the March Madness series. Who would have won the national championship this year, guys? Silence.
I think we could have each named off. We could each name off 2 or 3 different teams. We probably all have different teams. I mean, I could think of at least 10 to 12 that had a chance to win the championship.
Realistically, all jokes aside, was it going to be the Cats?
I think the Kentucky Wildcats had a very, very reasonable chance of winning it. It just depended on what team was showing up. I think the clear-cut best team in the nation this year was Kansas.
Agreed.
Whenever it came through, just because of the leadership. And, I mean, it's hard to stop Azubuike in there. And there's no clear center in the NCAA besides pretty much Azubuike, and then Vernon Carey off of Duke's pretty good. I think Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, and then you have your couple of dark horse teams, that were, your Daytons, that Obi Toppin. He was a good ball player. This was a year that was wide open. And I feel sorry for these smaller teams that had a great team this year because this was their chance.
Yeah, you have to hate it for, like you said, for Dayton. That's just, I mean, they haven't had a really good season like that in like 40 years. And we talked about this off the show multiple times to each other, how this season was one of the craziest college basketball seasons we'd ever seen, how drunk it was, how ridiculous it was. And then to finish it off like it did, it was just this icing on the cake. I mean, obviously none of us seen it coming, but, I mean, are we surprised?
Not at all. And I think people are starving for sports stories right now. I don't know if you guys have even had ESPN on since there's no sports, so it's hard to watch ESPN because there's nothing really to talk about. So they keep talking about they keep clinging on to sports stories. So this has definitely been in the news. Rick Pitino is back in college basketball. I think this is great. I think Rick Pitino being back in college basketball is great for the sport. I think that my hatred for Rick Pitino, it was never really hatred towards Rick. I just didn't like Pitino when he coached at Louisville. I can get over the fact that he coached at Louisville. I can and I can forgive. And I think we all should forgive because look at what he did with Kentucky. Look at what he did for Kentucky. He brought back Kentucky back when that shameful Kentucky article came out in the 80s. And look at what he did with Kentucky players. I'm talking Eastern Kentucky players.
Eastern Kentucky born boys.
Yes,
but my thing with Rick is, you leave Kentucky, you go to the NBA. You come back to college basketball. Out of every job that Rick Pitino could have had, he chose Louisville. Which, don't get me wrong, I still don't mind Rick Pitino. I hated the way that he's kind of gone out in the past, 4 to 5 years, the way that things have happened for him. But I'm glad to see him back. I think Rick Pitino is one heck of a coach. And I'm glad to see him back, and I hope we can play him. And I hope they can agree to, maybe this year coming up or the year after that, Iona can come play in Rep Arena, and then the year after that we can go play them in, say, Madison Square Garden.
I don't think Cal's going to take that deal at all. I bet we don't see Rick Pitino play Kentucky.
I do think that we will end up
unless
playing,
it's in the tournament.
I do think we'll end up having Rick back.
I do too. I think Cal is going to want to bring. He wants to be the guy who says, "Hey, Cal, come," or "Hey, Rick, come coach at the school that I coach at now." Because Cal's always he's very subtle. He's very, what's the word I'm looking for? He's passive aggressive. He's real subtle into doing nice things for people, but he's really like, it's almost like he kind of sticks it to him too. Like, "Hey, Rick, you can come back and look at."
If Rick Pitino and Iona play at Rep Arena, to me, that's going to be the real clue that they're desperate for a good gate at Rupp, because I don't think Cal would want to play that game at all. I mean, what if we lost to Evil?
Well, Rick's
you really want to lose to him?
Rick's already came out and said that he was open to the idea of them meeting.
He wants that money for his
Well, of course
program.
he does. Of course he does. But Cal actually came out behind him and said he's open for it as long as the game's going to be played at Rupp Arena, in which Rick's had nothing but, I understand what he's doing. He's had nothing but high praise for John Calipari, and, Kentucky is the premier coaching job. It's the one premier coaching job in the nation right now. So I think you're going to see a Rick Pitino, at least one more game, because us as Kentucky fans, we don't want Rick Pitino's last game at Kentucky, him walking off the court with his middle finger sticking up in the air at the entire crowd. I think he deserves better than that. He did it to himself, but we deserve to give him that chance too.
Pitino cited his longtime friendship with Iona College president Seamus Carey as one of the reasons as why he went to Iona. So there's always reasons as to why people go to schools, because people were wondering, well, why did he choose Iona? Yes, Iona is a small school, and he didn't have the pick of the litter. He didn't have the pick of the litter to go to anywhere. So now I know why he went to Iona. But I think that going to Iona I think part of the reason for that is just because of his situation. He had good relationships with the president, the athletic director, and he knew people there. Because if I was the president of a college and you were a basketball coach, wouldn't you want to come work for me?
Yeah,
I'm your good friend. You would want to come work. You would want to come work for me. And I know we got the producer. He's trying to signal me to go to commercial break, but I want to get to one more thing before we do. What about this scandal that Pitino that's glaring at him? Let's not forget this Adidas scandal that the NCAA has still not finished investigating him yet.
Yeah, I mean, they run the risk of him being like the James Wiseman of coaches. Like, he coaches his first couple games at Iona, and then they're like, nope, you're banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's facing what could, if they put, Louisville on a ban, they could put Rick Pitino on a coaching ban, and, there's no telling what they could fall, what could trickle down for Iona for hiring Rick Pitino, but I think it's a good hire. Take your chance. Iona's never going to have a coach of that caliber again.
Yeah, if they end up having to promote one of his assistants to interim coach for the year, how is that any different than who they would have hired anyway? It's still like an unknown.
Talk about a win for Iona, though. What a coach. They literally got and snagged one of the top 5 greatest coaches to ever coach college basketball. Wouldn't you say, Chad?
Oh, I agree, definitely. I had gone back, since we don't have any sports right now, I had gone back and watched some old UK games from like 96, 98, and you never really, of course I was still old enough to understand back then, but I really never focused on them as much as I did, or as much as I do now. But yeah, Rick was a great coach, and like I said, I never really appreciated him that much for what he did here, but to have the talent that he did and to do the things he did,
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have him back in college basketball. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back after these words. Stick with us. Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you, along with my March Madness Series crew, George Canasser, Chad Rainwater, and Zach Hahn. Unfortunately, guys, during the midst of all of this, we lost a legend. Mr. Kenny Rogers passed away. Kenny Rogers, was anyone a fan of him? I
mean, the Gambler album, to me, that was his ultimate album. The entire album was just great. Yeah. So, I mean, that was the highlight of his career, but great musician, I think, 81 years old?
81 years old, died on March the 20th, 2020, under hospice care. I don't care what anybody says. Hospice, when you go into hospice, you ain't coming out of hospice.
No,
you don't see it very often.
It's usually not a good sign. I think they let you die with your dignity. I'm pretty sure that's what the whole point of
it's
hospice
your way to go out
is.
in peace, with your family and with your friends, and just be able to go out, the way that most people would want to, with everybody you love around you.
Due to the global COVID-19 pandemic, his family is planning a small private service with a public memorial plan for a later date. Yeah, have you guys been seeing the way these funerals have been handled with this pandemic going on?
It's so terrible. I hate it for people's families. It's they don't want people over crowds of 10 in the state of Kentucky. I don't know about everywhere else, but it's a terrible time for it. And I feel terrible. Just to be able to grieve with your family and share the good times and stuff. These families and stuff aren't able to get that right now. It's more of, I'd say it's harder to grasp a hold of everything because you're not getting the opportunity that you usually get to be able to celebrate life.
Well, on the flip side of that, though, I guess I'm just trying to be positive here. that would be an unfortunate thing to not, like, if you're Kenny Rogers and you don't have all those people there if you're Kenny Rogers' family, I should say, to really understand how impactful he was. He was a country legend in this particular case. But then also, I feel like there's got to be a little bit of a silver lining there that they don't have to worry about someone that was sick, that was not well living through this crisis, because that would have been stressful in its own way. So Not to try to diminish that. Maybe they're just really heartbroken about it. I don't want to speak for them, but if somebody did pass away, at least you don't have to worry about them living through this, turbulent times that we're in.
I've been seeing memes going around about Kenny Rogers saying that there was no fitting time for him to photo and run away, or walk away and run away than right now.
I set you up there for a great segue. I didn't even realize I was
You
doing
really did.
that.
He always said you got to know when to hold him and you got to know when to photo him. And Kenny Rogers, ladies and gentlemen, has folded his hand and he is walking away. So it only seems fitting for Off the Cuff's Song of the Week to be The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. So ladies and gentlemen, roll down them windows and enjoy Off the Cuff's Song of the Week break. We'll be right back after the song. Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Last segment of the hour. Got my March Madness crew here with me. Jordan Canasser, Chad Rainwater, and Zach Hahn. We've been talking about so many changes that's been happening due to the coronavirus world pandemic that's been happening. It's been crazy. We've been talking about what's been going on in the sports world since all of this. Tom Brady he's been in the news because he finally, after how many seasons with the Patriots?
20 with the Patriots.
20 years with the Patriots, has decided to go to the Bucs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He agreed to a 2-year, $50 million contract that could balloon to $59 million if certain incentives are met. General Manager Jason whatever his name is. Nobody can have a normal name.
You need a designated pronouncer on the
Exactly.
show.
But General Manager Jason, what's his face, said, is that what it says? Licht? L-I-C-H-T?
Jason L.
Jason L. said pursuit of Brady was the Buccaneers' number one priority this offseason. I like this. And I tell you what, Tom Brady, yes, he's 42 years old. You're not going to get the same Tom Brady as what you got with the Patriots, but the Bucs are not really looking for wins from Tom Brady. You get more than just wins with Tom Brady. You get publicity, you get ticket sales, you get merchandise sales. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but now everybody's going to be talking about them.
I think Tom Brady to the Bucs was honestly the best thing that the Bucs could have asked for. You got to look at it with Mike Evans as his outside number one receiver. Is going to be the tallest receiver he's ever had at 6'5". You got Chris Godwin. He's gonna treat Chris Godwin more as a Julian Edelman, and then the scheme that Tom Brady was always brought up in with the tight ends. He's got Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard, two great tight ends. Weren't utilized.
I don't know if I call O.J. Howard a great tight end.
He's going to be great. I'm not going to say he's going to be great. My projection for him is he could be great. But you've got to look at, Bruce Arians didn't utilize the tight ends.
Do they have a new coach?
No, it's still Arians. But I think he's going to
put in the offense that utilizes them.
Brady's going to bring in Brady's scheme. There's a reason Brady went there. He's going to be allowed to do what he wants to do to an extent. But I see Brady, he doesn't have the deep ball anymore. He's older. He utilizes the middle of the field more than anything. So that's going to be...
How's the O-line looking? Because that's the key.
Their offensive line from last year, their running game wasn't very strong. So they're bringing in some people, but it's still, as long as Tom Brady can just get enough time to sling the ball over the middle of the field and get it to one of these tight ends or Chris Godwin, or he has the deep ball chance with Mike Evans. And he's got that big body receiver. I think that was the best thing they could have done.
How many wins you give them?
I'm gonna go with.
Before you answer that, let me just say though that it's not all about the dubs. That's not really, I don't think, really why.
Well, financially, of course, it's a smart move.
It is. I just don't.
You just signed the GOAT.
You did. At the end of the day, you signed the GOAT.
It reminds me of MJ to the Wizards. Okay, without the break in between.
Yeah,
it's an aging superstar signing for another team, and you don't feel like I give him 9 personally.
I'm going to go 12-4.
12. Oh my god!
You think Brady?
They're in the AFC South, so they have New Orleans.
Jameis wasn't that bad.
Jameis went 30-30 last year. 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
That's a lot of interceptions. I'm not saying he's good.
That's a very indecisive
how many
quarterback.
wins are you saying Brady's a 6-win guy?
Yeah, I think Brady is.
I don't know how many wins they had last
No,
year.
they won like 5 out of their last 8 games. They were on the up and up.
They
last
were
year.
decent.
They weren't a bad team, but whenever you have that many turnovers, you're just not going to win games. You're putting too much on your defense, in which they signed, I can't think of the guy who used to play that blew his finger off with the firecracker that used to play for the Giants on the defensive line.
Jason Pierre-Paul?
Pierre-Paul. They signed him, or re-signed him or whatever. But, I think Tom Brady's going to take a lot off of that defense, and it's really going to help the offense, just flourish. And my main thing is I hope they sign a running back. I was wishing they would have got either Gurley or Melvin Gordon. And I thought that offense would have really blown up then.
It says here that Brady now has to relocate his family to Florida, obviously.
Oh.
At his press conference, they asked if he'll obtain number 12 from Godwin once he arrives. Brady suggested it wasn't a priority right now, which means, yeah, I'm taking that number. He'll take that number. But, he might be like all the other greats and just do a little number switch. I mean, has Brady always had number 12?
Can you wear 00 in the NFL? Is that
you can
right?
now. That's a new thing that got in the.
I thought it was just 0. I don't think it's 00. I thought it was 0.
He needs to rock that. That'd be iconic.
I think Godwin's already said that he would give up his number 12 out of respect.
Yeah, well, Tom Brady specifically with the 12, he's got the TB12 training program. Like he's got that. The number is part of his brand, but somebody needs to wear 0. Just throwing that out of left field.
I'm sure somebody will. It could be Chris Godwin giving up his number and being the first player in Tampa Bay Buccaneers history to wear number 0.
It says Brady said he didn't make the determination he was leaving New England until March the 16th when the free agency came up, and he notified the owner Robert Kraft and his coach Bill Belichick immediately. They've got to be depressed because not only do they have this COVID-19 circling them, they've got Tom Brady leaving them.
I'd say Belichick's excited, man. They treat players as a commodity. Really, Bill Belichick's all about manufacturing wins. And he's probably going to look at Brady as I'm not real big on Brady the Bucs. I think he's going to be another year slower. He's 40, going to be 41 or
42,
42-year-old quarterback. I mean, the numbers don't lie. So I would think Belichick's
you're wanting wins. If you're wanting wins, but if you're wanting just everything else I said, then he's a great.
Okay, let me put it in terms of a storyline. Do you think that there's a possibility that Belichick is good, let me get somebody else in here, and then if I win a Super Bowl with them, it's all about I'm the greatest coach. I didn't have to have the greatest quarterback.
Me personally, I think the Patriots are going to go downhill. So it's from what you listen to Randy Moss talk on ESPN, and it sounds like Bill Belichick is that super hard coach to get along with, and you had somebody in the locker room like Tom Brady that was able. You saw people listening. Tom Brady's listening to Belichick, so you're going to have these players that I don't know if they'll be able to sit there and just work with Belichick. You had Tom Brady that was willing to kind of bow down and follow his system and his scheme and everything and the way that the Patriots locker room is. I don't know if you're going to have that anymore.
All right, before we head out of here, I just want to address something really quick. I know most people have been missing my face on ABC 36 at 12:30 on Monday, Tuesday on Midday Kentucky. Let me just explain to the audience what's going on here. I know that there's been nasty rumors circling around Lexington that Adam Banks has been fired. Let me just go ahead and put to rest those nasty, disgusting, ugly rumors. Those are not going around. I am simply social distancing myself from the ABC 36 studios. Only full-time employees of WTVQ are allowed in there right now. So Cody Adams is doing a great job leading the ship there with Amber Freeman at ABC 36. I hope to be back once this ends, but I don't know when it's going to be in sight. So I do want to just let everybody know what's happening to me. Jordan, I know your mom's a big fan of me on Midday.
Oh, yeah. Mom's always watching you. Mom retired back in, December 31st, and I went over to her house a week or two ago, and I walk in, and Mom's just got Adam Banks on the TV and just hanging out watching.
Zach thinks I say some pretty controversial things on there, though. I mean, you probably have you been adding
to the what you're there for, though.
Exactly.
Have I been adding the rumors?
The rumors in Lexington.
No. You just asked me about it, and I can't help but mess with you on it. So I had to plant that seed in your head, and now you've got 2 to indefinite amount of time, weeks to think about it. So
I appreciate it, but yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know kind of what was going on with that. Well, guys, I've enjoyed this. Really, I have. This has been an absolute blast, and this is volume 1 of the House Arrest series. I hope that until we can get back into the studio, things will go smoothly while doing it from home, but you guys need to stop by again and join me and do another episode. I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely. It's always fun, man. Even if we're not talking college basketball, it was fun to talk about something different.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a show about current events, and it just shows how broad-minded we are. We're not just for dumb jocks.
Jocks?
I don't know. Isn't that what they call sports? No, that's what they. That's athletes. That's the athletes. Yeah. Because I'm definitely not a jock.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity to be on here. I'm glad you kept the crew, even though the tournament said, you know, we're more durable than the NCAA. So
fun show.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah, it's fun.
And eventually, I'll get you guys into the studio for sure. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening to another episode of Off the Cuff. This has been Volume 1 of the House Arrest series. We'll see you next Thursday, same time, 4 to 5, right here on WLXU 93.9 FM. I'm Adam Banks. That is Jordan Canasser. That is Chad Rainwater. And that is Zach Kahn. And this is Off the Cuff. I'll see you in the next episode.
I just want